All right, welcome back everybody. Today we're going to go through an example for how to solve, or rather add or subtract fractions with different denominators. In this particular example, we have 3 and 5, neither of which are factors of each other. And they are also different, which means that we're going to look for the lowest common denominator. Now, in order to find the lowest common denominator, we have to actually look for something called the lowest common multiple, which is exactly what it sounds like. The lowest common multiple is found by looking at the first few multiples of each number, in this case 3 and 5, and seeing which is the lowest one of those values that they have in common, hence lowest common multiple. So let's take a look. 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 3 is 9, 3 times 4 is 12, 3 times 5 is 15, and 3 times 6 is 18. We could go on further, but let's see if we actually do need to go that far by starting out with some multiples of 5 first, before we get any further. So with 5, we have 5 times 1, which is 5, 5 times 2 is 10, 5 times 3 is 15, and we can stop right there, because we can now see that we indeed have two values, or rather multiples, that our two denominators have in common. And because of that, we can stop and say that this is in fact our lowest common multiple, right? So now that we know our lowest common multiple value, we actually know what our lowest common denominator is going to look like as well, because they are one and the same. So now that we know what the lowest common multiple should be, let's actually work that into our problem. And now we gotta ask ourselves, because remember, our goal is to turn the denominators into the value that we see right here, the 15. So we got to ask ourselves, what can we multiply times 3 to get 15? And whatever that value is, we're going to multiply to the top and bottom, the numerator and the denominator. So in this case, to multiply 3 times, or to get 15, and figure out what value we multiply 3 by to get 15, we simply look at how far we had to go in the list of its multiples. We went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that means we're going to multiply the top and bottom of the first fraction by 5. So 5 on the top, 5 on the bottom, and these are being multiplied, of course. We're going to do the same thing for the other side now. We need to find out what we can multiply times 5 to get 15. So we're going to just count from the first multiple. So 1, 2, 3. So that means that we're going to multiply top and bottom by 3 for the second fraction. Now that we have all of our operations set up, we are going to multiply across the top for the first fractions, or the first pair of fractions. So 5 times 2 gives us 10 over 5 times 3, which gives us 15. Don't forget your addition operation. Now we go to the right, and we see that we have 4 times 3 in the numerator, so that will be, so we have 12. And then finally we have in the numerator, or in the denominator over here, 5 times 3, which is 15. And would you look at that, our value of 15 that is our new denominator is exactly what our lowest common multiple is. So as I said before, they're both the same value. And now that these two fractions have the same denominator, we can actually add these two fractions together. So let's do it. Remember, when you're adding fractions together, the denominator stays the same. You don't actually combine 15 plus 15. You just see all the denominators are the same, and you just rewrite it one time. The numerator, we're going to write that out. 10 plus 12. We do a little bit of addition in the numerator, and now we're at 22 over 15. And before we say that we're completely done, we ask ourselves, is there anything else that I can do to simplify this problem? As in, are there any factors greater than 1 that both 22 and 15 are divisible by that would reduce how large these values are? And in this case, there are not. Feel free to check out one of my other videos on how to find factors, or greatest common factors between values. But since there are none over here besides the value 1, we are in fact done.